Now, people, how well organized are you when it comes to, for example, legal advice, estate administration, powers of attorney? Are you organized? A lot of people are not that well organized. And then you talk to solicitors, and then you're going to tell me, yeah, but they charge a lot of money and all these things. Now, there's an organization, believe it or not, that doesn't charge anything, and that's Northwest Community Legal Center. And we're going to talk to their coordinator and senior solicitor, Ryan Gilmore. Ryan, welcome.
Thank you.
A solicitor for free, Ryan. How does that work? Because most people don't believe me when I tell them.
Well, how does it work? Well, we've been around since I think the mid 1980s, and we're funded by a combination of funding from the Commonwealth and state governments to provide legal advice and assistance to those eligible members of our community, to members of the community on the Northwest Coast, West Coast, and King Island.
Now, how long has Northwest Community Legal Center been around? Also, since the 80s, but from the start when it became sort of, because I guess is it a national organization?
Yeah, so we are part of, there's around about 150 community legal centres across the country. We are one of three generalist community legal centres in Tasmania. We've got the Hobart Community Legal Service, Launceston Community Legal Centre, and the Northwest Community Legal Centre. And then you've got specialist legal services like the Women's Legal Service, Tenants Union of Tasmania, etc. So, look, we've been here. I think it's the mid 1980s is when we started, and we've been continuing ever since. And we're a team of six staff, four lawyers. So we do our very best to help as many people as we can. I think at the moment we sort of see around 11 to 1200 people a year. So it's a busy service amongst not too many lawyers. But we are here for the community, including the King Island community. So yeah, we're looking to get our name out there and make sure people know we exist and can come and see us.
11, 1200 people. Is that what in general do people need, or what do they ask for?
It's a slightly complex sector in that people get us confused often with legal aid. We are funded under the same pool of funding as Tasmania Legal Aid, but where we come in is historically we fill the gaps. So if we just look at Tasmania Legal Aid, which some of your listeners and viewers may be familiar with, they primarily do family law, parenting, and a little bit of property, small property pool programs under $500,000. They'll also do criminal law, but not all criminal law. So there's a very large amount of areas of law outside of that that are not covered. So to give you an idea, probably 60 to 65% of our work each year falls in the civil space. And that includes issues such as civil claims, minor civil claims, so claimants and defendants, restraint orders, boundary fence disputes, um, Centrelink issues, the list goes on. So we see sort of 60, 65% of our work in the civil space, which is filling that gap that Tasmania Legal Aid don't currently fund. And then we also fill gaps elsewhere in terms of, so we look at family law, for instance, we will do, if you're eligible for our services for more than one-off advice, we will do things like divorce for people. So there's a lot of different services we offer.
Now, people, you often hear people say that, hey, if they have a case where they need legal advice or support or a solicitor or a barrister, that, oh, yeah, well, you need to pay a lot of money if you want to get a good solicitor because otherwise you lose your case in court. Is that, well, in a way, it's not true, is it? Because is it the sort of thing that people have on their mind that they think that's how it is?
No, no, not at all. Obviously, like any service industry, there are obviously different capabilities of the individuals that practice within it. But we're all practicing in the confines of the law, and you're always, I guess, stuck with the cards you are dealt, with what your client comes to you with. So, and it doesn't matter who you are, you can only work with what you have. So, no, I'd say that's not true. Um, hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand. But it's often what you hear. Oh, yeah, if you want to win your case, you need a good solicitor and you pay a fortune. Which, yeah, is like you say, we all live and work by the law. So what's really the difference, isn't it? What made you decide to get involved with the organization?
I was in private practice for about 10 years, maybe a bit longer, and I decided to move out of private practice and come to work here about 5 or 6 years ago. Um, it's a good organization. It's a really valuable organization in the sense that we are, if you want to think of it this way, we are the general practitioners, to take a medical sort of terminology, of the legal space. So we have funding to assist everyone on that one-off service, one-off advice. We do have to means test you thereafter to make sure you meet our criteria for any further guidance. So hence that comes into your question about costing. We're not here to take work away from the private sector at all. We're here to support the broader legal sector. But if you meet our criteria, we can do more for you than just that one-off advice. So it's a great service in that it empowers people with knowledge of their rights and obligations. Um, and it helps the justice system and administration of justice generally in terms of ensuring, or we do our very best to ensure that meritorious cases are brought before the courts. I find that very empowering for people and fulfilling.
Now, you're here next week. Tell us a bit about the program because you're here for a couple of days and running quite a few, let's call them workshops and information sessions. Want to give us a bit of a rundown? Or?
Sure. So what we do as part of our funding, what we do is we give obviously one-on-one advice to members of our community that are seeking that guidance in relation to this specific matter. But the other aspect of what we do is community legal education. So we will go to community groups and speak on legal topics of interest to their membership. So we're using this opportunity next week to come over to King Island, reacquaint ourselves with the population on King Island, and do a combination of one-on-one advice appointments for those that wish to seek our service for that, and also do a couple of, or four, community legal education sessions. So we've got a schedule across Tuesday the 23rd of June and Wednesday the 24th of June, so Tuesday, Wednesday next week, where we will conduct two community legal education sessions on the Tuesday, two on the Wednesday, and in between that, we're taking bookings for one-on-one appointments for clients that wish to seek specific advice relevant to their circumstances.
Yeah, there's more information on the social media pages also that where people can go to. We will put a link in this interview so people can see what it's all about. Can we say that people in general, and particularly when you get older and people are sort of not organized, like say you pass away and the family, the people that are left behind have no idea what you wanted, what your wishes are. Do you have a will? Do you not have a will? Do you deal with that a lot?
We do. So that's one of the a common. It's probably one of the most popular topics we do community legal education sessions on, sort of planning ahead type topics, as well as estate administration. So we see a lot of that because when, particularly later on in life, there is a need when we talk about estate planning to look at obviously a will, but also guardianships, power of attorneys, advanced care directives, and the important thing when you think about those aspects is that they must be done whilst you have mental capacity. So if you lose mental capacity, it's too late. So we get a lot of interest with respect to those instruments. And of course, when somebody passes, not many of us are fully aware of what we need to do. It comes as a shock often. So we get a lot of people coming to our service seeking guidance in relation to a loved one has passed. What do I do? And we assist with that.
Yeah, because isn't it often that, well, most people, of course, you don't want to think about that once you leave this planet Earth, but it is in a way a good idea to be organized, isn't it? Like you say, hey, you have to be in a mental state. Well, anybody, you or I today, could get a stroke, and that straight away stops a lot of things that you can do and capable of, isn't it?
Certainly does. Yes, absolutely. And it does make it more challenging because if we take that example, if you haven't got your ducks in line in terms of you have a stroke, you no longer can make decisions for yourself. If you don't have a power of attorney and guardianship in place, you're probably going to need a loved one to go down the TASCAT, Tasmanian Civil Administrative Tribunal route, to have somebody appointed to take those roles. So it's important that we get a lot of interest, people coming to us wanting to know about that, the process, and we take them through that.
You mentioned also the one-on-one appointments. What are they in general about? What do people come to you when they want to have a sort of one-on-one session?
Anything and everything. We are a generalist. So as I mentioned, one of the three generalist community legal centres. So we will try our hardest to give advice and assistance on pretty much any area of law. Um, but there are, of course, limitations in terms of our abilities to provide advice on certain things. But so like I mentioned before, civil is 65% of our work. So we give a lot of advice on restraint orders, a lot of advice on civil claims, a lot of advice on Centrelink matters, anti-discrimination matters, some personal injury matters. The list is endless, to be honest. And there's always something new every day coming through the door that I haven't seen before.
Are things changing as the world is changing, of course, all the time? Is it like people are more stepping up now, dare to speak out, and are more inclined to get legal advice? Do we see that grow, or is it steady? Where does that sit?
It's an interesting one. I think the biggest change we're seeing here in the last sort of 6 to 12 months has been with AI. So blessing and a curse. I think it is assisting members of the community get educated in certain topics, but it's not always accurate. And it's very easy to see when a client comes to our service having drafted their instructions with the assistance of AI or having drafted a claim, for instance, which they've filed in court using AI, that it has been AI created. And it is about the quality of the information you put in as to the quality you get out typically. And that's creating a few interesting issues for us in terms of unwinding some of the decisions that have been made by members of the community, feeling empowered with AI, that when we need to then step back if they've led themselves down the wrong path. So that's an emerging area, I guess, for everyone, all businesses. But certainly in law, it's interesting, and we're seeing some big changes on that front.
That's why we see all these YouTube clips nowadays where the police are stopping a motorist, somebody in a car, and first thing they hear is, "I know the law." But that's not always right, is it?
No,
Now,
not
for
always.
those that want to come out next week, how do they go about it? Can they just pop in at the hub there, or make a call, or ring a number?
Sure. So I guess if anyone's looking for an individual one-on-one advice appointment, we've got certain time slots, as I mentioned, fitting in between our legal education sessions on Tuesday and Wednesday next week. They are appointment only, and they need to be appointment only because we need to conflict check and obtain certain documents in advance, potentially depending on the matter. So the best thing to do is to contact our office, 64248720, or go to our website, nwclc.org.au. You get all our details there, and you can contact us to set up a one-on-one advice appointment. And like you mentioned, there is no charge for those appointments. So that's the one-on-one advice. In terms of the legal education sessions, we've got them on Tuesday and Wednesday, 3 p.m. on each Tuesday and Wednesday, and then another one at 5:15 on Tuesday and at 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday with different topics. The best thing to do there is just go and have a look at our social media, go to our Facebook page, or no doubt your socials as well, where you can look at those topics that we have on those days and just turn up. We've booked a space at the hub in Curry, and no need to register, just turn up, and we'll have a chat for about an hour in relation to those topics.
Ryan Gilmore, we thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.